Hello, this is Michelle at Jasami Bookworm Podcast, and we have some phenomenal, exciting news that I can't wait to talk about with my special guest today. We've chatted before. Welcome, Freedom Matthews.
Hi, wonderful to be here.
Delighted to have you. So, Usually we like to save the surprises for the end, like we do with our shout out, but this time we're going to tell the surprise up front. So, would you like to announce it, please, Freedom?
Well, we are having a book launch at Haslemere Bookshop in Surrey for the launch of Scarlett Redemption, my book out on July 12th.
Excellent. I'm so excited and so excited. It's wonderful. It's been a little whiles in the process, which we're going to talk about in a minute. What's the name of the bookshop again?
It's the Haslemere Bookshop in Haslemere.
Excellent. And what we're going to do for our listeners, as always, we're going to put a link for a ticket if you'd like to attend. We'll also put a link in to purchase the book, and we will have a link for the bookshop itself. So we'll cover everybody up in information. So, what made you select Hazelmere? Do you have an ongoing relationship with them?
Yes, as some people may know, I had a book out maybe 10 years ago, a long time ago now. And they supported me from day one. They had my first book signing there way back in the day. And ever since, they've been such a support. As soon as I walk in, they know who I am. It's just one of those things that you just want out of a bookshop as a reader and as a writer. So, yes, it's the first place I thought of when we were thinking about having a signing. So I was so pleased that they agreed to work with me again. And yeah, I love them dearly.
Excellent. That's absolutely wonderful. It's always nice to have a local. Now, usually when people think of locals, it might be a restaurant or a wee pub, but a bookshop's even better. That's the best local you can have because it's a cozy nook that you can go to and check out what's coming out, but also when people know you, it makes it even, much more of a celebration. So for Scarlet Redemption, and as we've released, it's absolutely gorgeous. The cover and the illustrations that are inside the book, and the first moment you're going to hold it in your hands, which is coming up very, very soon, I know will be very exciting to you. What It's been a bit of a process because nothing comes quickly. So with the editing process, how was that for you? I know we've discussed it briefly, but again, it's always good for the audience to hear about it.
Editing for me is usually my favorite part, even with personal self-edits. It's my favorite part of the writing process. But I went in unsure of what to expect. I'd been through the editing process before, but I must admit, I'm going to shout out to Raquel because she is an amazing editor. We seem to be on the same page, which is wonderful. I definitely have the book has changed in a multitude of ways, not in the big ways, so to speak. The story is still valid and it's still there, but so many things have changed, and it's not a negative position at all. It's always a positive because it makes the story stronger. And I think as much as we all say don't kill our darlings, you have to. And but I don't feel it was for the detriment of the book. It's definitely for the, as I say, the betterment of the book. And I've learned a lot. Raquel has taught me so much, and I'm hoping that for future books I can take those lessons along with me and put them into practice. So I'd say it's been not a difficult lesson, but it's been a very yeah, it's been a learning curve, and I think that's a good thing. I think a positive learning curve going forward.
Well, that's the thing is that, when we live our life, the joys are fabulous, but it's through the difficulties and challenges that we face that we actually learn. Some authors like to think, oh, it's written, it's perfect, and it's not. Uh, can never please every reader, but what we want to do is create the best possible book that has, so that will be available to those who love the genre of fantasy and, the magical worlds and such. So Raquel has done a phenomenal job editing the book, of which we are. Perla has done the illustrations, and
I wish I had words. They are so wonderful. And I was just speaking actually to my team recently and saying how inspired I was just by seeing the illustrations. I've got so many ideas to add to book two now just from seeing them. So it's amazing how we all fed off each other. It all started in the base of that one story, and now it's just been such a collaborative effort. And yes, Perla, Raquel, Michelle, everybody who's been involved I've been felt very, very lucky. Very, very lucky.
The wonderful part about the illustrations is that they bring the characters to life in a new way. So that it's not, the and with the written word, we create it in our mind, but when we see an illustration, it can reinforce that, and then it gives a new life to that particular story. So you've thought about this, and I was reading an article, and it was a different author, well known on the States, not fantasy, but it was a massive work he was working on, and he thought they asked him how long they thought it would take. And he said 7 years. And it took him 20 because it was an opus. Yours won't take 20, but it is. There are several sequels to come. I think it's going to be the trilogy.
Yeah.
What? So there's more to come, but we're concentrating on Scarlet Redemption. What do you think, if you had to select a particular character that you think has evolved uh, the most during the editing process? Who do you think it might be?
Ooh. I want to say a character called Bethel, who's she's not got the she hasn't got the biggest part even now, but I feel she has grown in such a way, and I don't want to take too many spoilers away. But she is a character that has been brought forward and made Rua. She's challenged Rua in a really great way. And I'm not sure, I don't know, hopefully it will come across, but that's for me, she was even less so in the book. And we've drawn her out and made her even more of a I say she makes Rua work hard for for the gain that she gets. She is on her side, obviously, but sometimes you have to have the sort of school of hard knocks to get through the adversity, as we discussed earlier. Have to have the hard with the smooth. So yeah, I think Bethel, but I think they've all gone through their own unique evolutions, but Bethel for me.
I think it's really interesting that it's not always the main character, the protagonist, that actually changes the most. It can be a subtle character who comes just because of their personality, will bring more to the story and support your main protagonist.
They're a good foil. They're a good foil for the main character.
Excellent. So with so going through the editing process again, it can be, since you love it, which is quite unusual. What do you think is the most you gain out of it? Is it the changing the characters, or seeing it through someone else's eyes, getting the feedback? What is it that you think is most valuable?
I think it's all of the above, but I always treat it like a ball of clay, so to speak. Or another one I've heard is a sand pit. You just sort of throwing the sand in and you're just molding the sand castle. That's my favorite part. I love, yeah, seeing it through other people's eyes, seeing all those things, but also getting the most out of the characters that you've put on the page. So you might just have your basic first or second or 500th draft, and then someone else will come to you and say, "What about this? And what's this question?" And you just don't you see a whole different perspective through that whole process. But I do like molding the clay. I like making it as polished or as smooth as possible. And as we say, we can't please everyone, but it's also you want it to make sense, you want it to be engaging, but you also want it to have heart. And I think that's what editing does. It gives it, a body and a heart to thrive or walk around in, you know.
And I think now usually characters have a little bit of a lot of pe different people's personalities. You don't have to name the personality, but do the characters, have some characteristics of people that you know or knew?
Yes, I think I can say for myself that you always have, I don't know with other writers, but for me, there's always a little bit of myself in every single one. But there's also other people and other influences, obviously, I won't say out loud. But yes, I think that's as writers, we're kind of great people watchers. So we always take in even the closest to us and the most distant, we always take on those. So yeah, I'd say. there are a few people. I wonder if they'll find themselves in the book, but that's what you hope as as an author, readers will find themselves in the characters in your book.
And also grow along with the characters in the story as they go through the adventures and, what they're faced with and say, oh, wow, that's a different way to look at it. Even though it is a fantasy world, that you do create, that you have created. It's the humanism in it and the humanity in it that people will be able to relate to. I'm
Yes,
gonna
I like to ground it in reality.
that and that's the best of both worlds because I think with the release of going to another place in the book and then have the humanity, the characteristics, it's easier for us to see that than when we're faced with our, modern technology and what we do in a day-to-day basis, which can often be overwhelming with it. Um, I want to step back for just a moment because I want to ensure that everybody knows with the bookshop. So it's going to start at 11 a.m. And the kind of general way it's going to do is you'll do your first reading at 11:30, and then there'll be book signings and more of that. And then we're going to provide the opportunity for another reading, so a second reading, and that is going to be about 1:30. And these are kind of general times because it depends on who's talking to who and what's going on. And then after the reading, there'll be the book signing. And there is a raffle going on. We're not going to tell about what the giveaway is. We're not going to release too much. We're just going to put it out there and say um, something special is included. But with the raffle, there's an extra special little thing going out for those who do attend, which it's wonderful. I think it's nice to kind of split it so that, with the 4 hours from 11 to 3 o'clock, with that time period, there is enough flexibility that people will have that opportunity to come and go and not stay for the whole thing, but have their own. And if they want to, they get two different readings. So fantastic. Uh, with that being said, what are you most excited about for it now? It's on Saturday, as we said, the 12th of July, 11 o'clock start time. What are you most excited about on that day, Freedom?
I think for me, it's having the book in readers' hands, finally. It's one of those things that it's been a long time coming. As I mentioned many times on my socials, it's been 10 years in the making, this book, or this entire world has been 10 years in the making, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing to finally see it in readers' hands. I think that will be the most emotional, aside from seeing the book for the first time and seeing in people's hands, having them read it. And yeah, that'll be it for me, I think. But yeah, I'm excited for all of it, but that's the most for me.
I think that's wonderful when you see your own something you've created for someone else's enjoyment, and then your joy on the day when you see it, and then everyone else's, and they'll be able to look through and then some will probably not be able to resist. They'll start right away and then say, "Oh no, there's something else going on." So, but that's what makes it most exciting. So this podcast was a little bit shorter than our usual ones. Part of the reason it was the introduction, and then we're going to actually add a reading after it. So we're going to say thank you, Freedom. We'll announce it again, make the final announcement once again that it's at Haslemere Bookshop. All the links are in our description. You can go early at 11 o'clock, or you can be there for the 1 o'clock session. The links for the tickets and to purchase the book and everything else is available in our description. Now, I know you did a shout out to Raquel. Would you like another shout out here at the end before we?
Of course, aside from Raquel, I would love to shout out Perla and yourself, Michelle, for just the whole experience. It's been just the best, just the best. And I'm so pleased that you guys love Rua as much as I do, and I'm hoping readers will love Rua just as much as we do. So yeah, thank you so much.
I love her character. I absolutely do love her character. And I think I'll follow along the same lines. I here at Jasami, we are blessed with our team members, and Raquel and Perla are key members of the team. And I know they've devoted so much to you and to it and given so much. But I think that will really be reflected in the work itself. And that's what's really important, is the reflection of that in the work. So I will say thank you, Freedom, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And with that announcement, we will say wishing you a sunny day, Michèle at Haslemere Bookworm Podcast. And then don't go away because we're going to do a short reading following this, and then it will be our ending music. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a short reading from Scarlett Redemption. And since Freedom spoke about Bethel, I thought it would be perfect to introduce her as the character. So I hope you enjoy. Bethel had an idea which Oerleith has found agreeable, he said reluctantly. The former Lady Bethel had been my governess before the Battle of Nature's Field, and one of the few not lost to Knox's tyranny. Papa's cousin was a strong, quick-witted, resourceful woman, not afraid to use harsh words or brute force, regardless of people's rank. The lady had somehow convinced Knox that she had always run the domestic affairs of the castle, and that to dismiss her would leave the place in ruins. I longed to see her again. It was she who'd sent the instructions for the glamoring charm, as she used it herself to prevent detection. Oren wore such a disguise to swan around Evernal as Ories working for the rebellion and staving off hunger for the lower folk. What idea? I asked. Bethel got word to Aeolus and we spoke, Oren said, taking hold of my wrist with an eager smile. Lady O and Bethel have contrived a need for castle staff, guards, maids, stable hands, and the like. Knox has agreed, as people are running away or going missing. Aeolus nodded as Oren continued. The plan is for us to be picked for positions within the castle. Your job would be to serve those in prominent positions. You could get information even Aeolus wouldn't be privy to. I sputtered in protest, but Oren held up a hand. They feel us being on the inside is the best way of getting Knox out. It's been 8 years. As much as I wanted to return, I was walking prey. Glamours were temporary, and I had not had interaction with anyone other than Oren, Aeolus, and Lord Blanchard in a long time. Being in the presence of those wishing me dead seemed like tempting fate.